Hello guys, welcome back to our anime moment. Guys, please like the video and subscribe to my channel. Today is explanation of Battle Through the Heavens Part 154 based on novel. So let's start. Thunderbolts roared wildly within the bright silver world like enormous dragons. A rumbling thunder continuously reverberated around this empty space. This mysterious trait was likely something that only existed within this empty space. A figure was seated within the silver lightning pool. There were 11 puppets seated a short distance from this figure, forming a circular shape with Xiao Yan in the middle. Wild and violent thunderbolts roared wildly outside of the circle. Numerous thick thunderbolts continuously smashed into the 11 puppets like furious pythons. However, these frightening attacks did not cause the puppets' bodies to move even a little. Instead, the color on the puppets grew brighter. The bolts of lightning in this monotonous realm seemed never-ending. Time began to swiftly pass by like flowing water amid this loud rumbling. Within the blink of an eye, nearly half a month's time suddenly passed. Xiao Yan was not overly concerned with the puppets during this period of time. After observing them for a couple of days and discovering that there were no unusual changes, he shut his eyes and entered his training state. The deafening sound around him was filtered out. His heart was completely calm. The interior of the lightning pool contained a rich energy filled with a wild violence that caused one's hair to rise. This kind of energy was something that an ordinary Dozun would not dare to easily absorb. However, such a wild violence could not be considered dangerous from Xiao Yan's perspective. After refining a heavenly flame by the flame mantra, any wild and violent energy obediently became docile do qi that flowed through his veins. While he shut his eyes and trained, Xiao Yan absorbed the wild and violent energy that was contained within the lightning pool. It caused the do qi within his body to improve within the short half-month. He could even vaguely touch the imaginary barrier of a 5-star Dozun. The swallowing of the bone-chilling flame had allowed Xiao Yan to leap from the 2nd star to the peak of the 4th star. However, the exhaustion of his do qi when he was helping Zi Yang refine the Dragon Phoenix crystal was similar to half a year of normal consumption. Adding the 5 droplets of ancient dragon essence blood that contained a great amount of energy as well as the Dragon Phoenix strength left in his body by Zi Yang, Xiao Yan vaguely felt as though he was about to break through after training for half a month. Of course, this was merely just a feeling. A true breakthrough did not follow close behind because an unexpected change occurred to the Sky Demon puppet while Xiao Yan was training. Thus, he had no choice but to stop training for the moment. Xiao Yan frowned as he looked at the Sky Demon puppet in front of him within the bright silver lightning pool. Its body was emitting a glaring golden light at this moment. The depth of this luster was even richer than before. Of course, the thing that Xiao Yan was paying attention to was not the luster of the Sky Demon puppet. Instead, it was the dark golden skin on its chest. A crack had formed there. Through the crack, Xiao Yan could vaguely see the flickering silver lightning within it. Has it absorbed too much lightning strength and reached its limit? Xiao Yan's hand rubbed the crack on the chest of the Sky Demon puppet. He mused for a moment before he helplessly shook his head. Due to the limitations of the ingredients, this Sky Demon puppet was unable to continue evolving. Xiao Yan estimated that this was the limit of the puppet that he had personally refined. How regretful. Xiao Yan shook his head in a somewhat regretful manner. The main ingredient he had used to refine this Sky Demon puppet had been a 7 to 8-star expert Dozun. This kind of expert appeared to be unattainable in his eyes back then, but from Xiao Yan's current point of view, it was merely an ordinary level. With this ingredient, the puppet had reached its current 5-star Dozun strength. This was an incredible thing. Xiao Yan could only extend his hand and store the Sky Demon puppet, which had reached its peak, into his storage ring with a heart filled with regret. After which, his eyes landed on the other 10 Earth Demon puppets. After absorbing the Thunderbolt's strength for half a month, the bright silver color on the bodies of these Earth Demon puppets had begun to reveal a golden spot. Having prior experience, Xiao Yan naturally understood that once these golden spots covered the Earth Demon puppet's body, these Earth Demon puppet would be promoted into a genuine Sky Demon puppet. These puppets were left behind by an elite Doshen. Given the eyesight of an elite dosing, the ingredients used to refine them are probably much better than mine. However, I wonder where the limits of these puppets lie? Xiao Yan mused for a moment. However, he did not hold much hope this time around. A puppet was after all a puppet. Regardless of how strong it was, the Dozun class was likely its limit. Perfect puppets that were comparable to an elite Dosheng, such a perverted thing was not likely to exist in this world, right? Otherwise, how would the people who had put in so much work to reach that level feel? Xiao Yang gently sighed. He once again glanced at the 10 unmoving puppets around him. After which, he sat down again. One day after another passed within the lightning world. The golden spots on these 10 puppets increased in number. In the end, the spots gradually occupied over half of the puppets' bodies. According to this speed, these 10 Earth Demon puppets would be promoted to true Sky Demon puppets within 10 days. While the golden spots on the Earth Demon puppets increased, Xiao Yang sat like an old meditating monk in the middle of them. He did not move. His expression was stern as wave after wave of mysterious energy fluctuations lingered around his body. A mysterious sound was emitted from the surrounding lightning pool at this moment. Numerous unusually majestic layers of energy lingered around Xiao Yang's body like a cloth. Finally, they wildly surged into Xiao Yang's body. Xiao Yang did not move even a little when faced with this wild and violent energy. His body was like a bottomless pit that allowed the majestic energy to wildly pour into him. With an increasing amount of energy pouring in, a 1,000-foot-large lightning swirl formed above Xiao Yang's head. The swirl rotated rapidly as uncontrolled energy surged to it. Bang bang! The lightning swirl continued for an unknown amount of time before gradually showing signs of weakening. At this moment, Xiao Yang's body was surrounded by bright thunderbolts. Looking from a distance, it appeared as though the lightning god had descended, causing one's heart to feel a pressure of sheer fear. The lightning swirl became stronger, but in the end, it came to a sudden stop. Finally, it slowly scattered. At the same time, the thunderbolts that existed around Xiao Yang's body entered his skin amid some crackling sounds. Xiao Yang's tightly shut eyes finally twitched after the swirl and the lightning disappeared. A moment later he slowly opened them. Bang! A substance-like thunderbolt suddenly shot from Xiao Yang's eyes when he opened them. It was just like a huge dragon as a roar tore through the many bolts of lightning. It wildly rushed to the deepest part of the lightning pool, slowly disappearing. The thunderbolt explosively shot out like an enormous dragon. At the same time, a breath that contained some electricity flowed along Xiao Yang's throat and was exhaled. At this moment, it was still possible to vaguely see some electric arcs leaping around his face and robe. A 5-star Dozun Ha. Xiao Yan slowly clenched his hand. He sensed his strength that had increased many times over. An arc was involuntarily lifted on his face. It was unexpected that he was able to successfully advance within the lightning pool. This place was indeed a blessed precious place. Now that Xiao Yang was a 5-star Dozun, he should be able to reach the strength of the 7th star level if he used the Skyfire 3 mysterious change. This strength, along with the Heavenly Flame and the Flame Mantra, meant that Xiao Yang wouldn't need to be afraid even if he collided head-on with a 7-star Dozun. If I meet the 9th Tianzuan again, I might be able to kill that fellow if I join hands with the puppets. A fierce glint flickered within Xiao Yang's eyes. He raised his head and looked at the 10 puppets around him. A joyous expression immediately rose to his face. The bodies of the current 10 Earth Demon puppets had been turned into a golden yellow color. They had successfully advanced to become Sky Demon puppets. Ha ha, good things come in pairs. Today is really a good day. Xiao Yang involuntarily laughed out loud when he saw them. He immediately stood up and stretched his body. He was just about to examine the 10 Sky Demon puppets when his heart suddenly pounded. He abruptly lifted his head, and his eyes looked to the deepest part of the lightning pool. An extremely intense energy fluctuation was being emitted from that spot. Can I have sensed wrong? Xiao Yang observed the area for a moment, but was unable to discover anything. After which, he knit his brows and muttered to himself. However, Xiao Yan had just muttered to himself when an invisible storm shot over from deep within the lightning pool. The frightening thunderbolts were annihilated almost instantly wherever this wind passed. What a frightening wind! The hairs all over Xiao Yan's body suddenly stood on end when he sensed this invisible wind. Kai? While the skin on Xiao Yan's head felt numb, it was possible to see an extremely miserable figure fleeing from the area where the wind tore through. 10 enormous dark black heart-chilling thunderbolts followed close behind him like black dragons. Xiao Yan felt the skin on his head explode when he caught sight of the enormous dark black thunderbolts. He returned the 10 sky demon puppets with lightning-like speed, turned around, and fled without any hesitation. The soul between Xiao Yan's brows trembled the moment he caught sight of those 10 dark black thunderbolts. A wave of indescribable danger entombed his heart. Faced against this unprecedented danger, Xiao Yan did not hesitate to store away the puppets, turn around and flee out of the lightning pool. Xiao Yan did not recognize the miserable figure being chased by the dark black thunderbolts, nor did he wish to be acquainted. That fellow was clearly not an ordinary person. However, the dark black thunderbolts behind him were even more extraordinary. Xiao Yan understood that if he were to even touch a little of that dark black thunderbolt, not even a piece of him would remain. This is really the case of extreme happiness bringing about sorrow. It is unexpected that I have actually met with such trouble within this lightning pool. Xiao Yan unleashed his speed to its limits. Numerous afterimages continuously appeared behind him. However, the human figure from behind seemed to have discovered him. Moreover, the thing that caused Xiao Yan to quietly cry out was that this fellow did not flee in another direction after seeing him, rather the fellow chased after him. Damn it, I do not have the ability to help you. Xiao Yan involuntarily cursed when he sensed the frightening pressure that was rushing over from behind. That fellow was clearly intending on finding a helper to join hands and fight the Black Thunderbolt. However, it was clear that he had overestimated Xiao Yan. The friend in front. While Xiao Yan was wildly fleeing with all his might, the rushing sound of wind appeared behind him, and a ghost-like figure appeared beside him. This figure was just about to speak when he became stunned. 5-star Dozun? Is this right? You actually dared to come to this empty realm lightning pool with this little bit of strength? Are you sure? Xiao Yan almost vomited blood when he heard this voice. He was training properly, yet this fellow had attracted a great amount of trouble. Additionally, he even slighted Xiao Yan's strength. Silver light flickered under Xiao Yan's feet. He rushed forward with all his strength. Taking advantage of a small opportunity, the corner of his eye caught a glance of the human figure beside him. The owner of this figure appeared quite old. His head was covered with some white hair. His robes were mostly in tatters. Clearly, they were destroyed by the thunderbolts. However, the thing that caused Xiao Yan to feel somewhat shocked was that this old fellow still gave off a liveliness even with his miserable appearance. It was as though the overwhelmingly destructive thunderbolt did not cause him much harm. This old fellow is definitely not an ordinary person. I wonder just where this hidden expert came from. A thought swiftly flew through Xiao Yan's heart at this moment. Of course, even if one used one's but to think, one could tell that this old fellow was not an ordinary person since he dared to step into the deepest part of the lightning pool, where even Xiao Yan did not dare to venture. Moreover, he was easily able to catch up to Xiao Yan even after Xiao Yan had dashed away with all his strength. One could simply see that the speed and strength of this old fellow had far surpassed Xiao Yan. However, the current Xiao Yan wasn't able to form even the slightest interest as to where this miserable-looking expert had come from because he could sense those dark black thunderbolts approaching. Is this right? Those damn things behind are really too fast, no? Forget it. Little fellow, the old me shall take my leave first. That miserable old man had naturally sensed this as well. He let out a strange cry, and the space in front of him distorted as he entered it. The next time he appeared, he was already 1,000 meters away. Old bastard! Xiao Yan was a little stunned when he saw this old fellow escaping as he wished. He furiously cursed to himself. Although Xiao Yan was cursing, his speed was not reduced as a result. He clenched his teeth, and his back trembled. Bone wings extended behind him. The wings were flapped, and his speed suddenly soared. Within a couple of flashes, he appeared a great distance away. After which, he simply fled without turning his head. After unleashing his speed to its limit throughout this journey, Xiao Yan gradually escaped the dark black lightning. However, he did not dare to slow too much. Lifting his head to take a glance, he saw that he was near the edge of the lightning pool. He increased his speed and charged out of the rumbling lightning pool. Xiao Yan continued to pant after having charged out of the lightning pool. Fear lingered on his face. It was difficult to imagine just what kind of miserable ending would have befallen him if he had been struck by the dark black lightning. It is unexpected that the lightning pool is not as safe as I had imagined. There is definitely something frightening in the deepest part. Otherwise, that old fellow would not have jumped up and down. After calming down, Xiao Yan's expression gradually recovered as he muttered to himself. Is that right? You think those things caused the old me to jump up and down? If I was not afraid that doing something might stir a riot within this lightning pool, the old me would have long since destroyed them. Xiao Yan's voice had just sounded when a voice strangely exploded beside his ear, causing him to start. He hurriedly lifted his head, only to see that miserable old man suspended in front of him. The old man's eyes watched him. The corner of Xiao Yan's mouth involuntarily twitched when he saw this old man. However, due to the other party's frightening strength, he could only swallow the curse in his mouth. He changed the topic and asked, "What are those things?" "A group of thunderbolt monsters that possess some intelligence," the old man curled his lips and replied. Xiao Yan knit his brows when he heard this explanation. However, he did not feel overly surprised. A heavenly flame would gain its own intelligence if it existed for a long time. The terrain of this place was unique and lightning had gathered here for a countless number of years. Thus, it was not strange for some unusual beings to be born. Xiao Yan's eyes swept over this old man, who appeared miserable. His heart obtained a shocking result. It was unexpected to meet an ultimate expert of such a class within this empty realm. However, this person, who repeatedly said, "Is this right?" seemed to possess a terrible character and had nearly caused him to die. Little fellow, although your strength cannot make it, you are quite fast. Originally, I thought of lending you a hand, but you unexpectedly escaped." The old man rubbed his hands together and smiled as he spoke. "I was merely lucky." The corner of Xiao Yan's mouth parted, but he was screaming a string of curses in his heart. Who knew whether this old fellow spoke the truth or not? Little fellow, those living creatures deep within this lightning pool are extremely strange. They are all formed from lightning. If one can absorb them, they are really great items of nourishment. It seems that your speed is quite good. Why don't the two of us join hands and enter the deep region for fun? The old man laughed. Xiao Yan dryly laughed with him when he heard these words. He hurriedly shook his head. Enter the deep parts? What kind of a joke was this? Just one random black thunderbolt could kill him. It was fine when he was unaware of them in the past. Now that he was aware of they existed, he would no longer step into that place even if he was beaten to death. Additionally, one glance at this old fellow and Xiao Yan knew that he was not trustworthy. Cooperating with this old fellow, Xiao Yan really did not wish to attract trouble again. Is this right? The courage of the young people these days really cannot make it. The old man involuntarily curled his mouth when he saw Xiao Yan shake his head. He lazily said, "However, it is fate that we meet. My surname is Mang. However, it is likely that a little fellow like you will not know the name of the old me." Surname Mang? Xiao Yan thought for a moment, but was not aware of such an ultimate expert. It was likely that the true experts of the Central Plains region kept a low profile. Ignorant younger generation. Seeing that Xiao Yan really did not recognize him, this old man with the surname Mang let out a sad sigh. However, the words that he spoke caused Xiao Yan to be speechless. A wind-splitting sound suddenly rushed over from a great distance while Xiao Yan was speechless. At the same time, a clear voice was transmitted over, "Little brother Xiao Yan, are you all right?" "Huh? You are someone from the ancient Void Dragon tribe?" That old man with the surname Mang was slightly startled when he saw the figure rushing over. He glanced at Xiao Yan with some surprise, feeling a little strange that an ordinary human would have a relationship with the ancient Void Dragon tribe. Forget it. Since this is the case, the old me shall leave. Little fellow, your performance was not bad. However, there is too much of a gap between you and the old me. You should work hard. That old man seemed to be unwilling to meet anyone else. Hence, he waved his hand at Xiao Yan. Before Xiao Yan could speak, the old man had turned around and disappeared in a spatial fluctuation. Xiao Yan was helpless when he saw the old man disappearing so quickly. He could only turn his head and look at the approaching He Qing. Huh? I have finally found you. Fortunately, your body possesses the dragon seal that the great dragon emperor placed on you. Otherwise, it would not be easy to find you. He Qing sighed in relief and spoke when he saw that Xiao Yan was safe and sound. I met with a small accident within the lightning pool. Therefore, I have come out by myself, Xiao Yan smiled. He did not describe what happened within the lightning pool in detail. After which, he waved his hand and said, my training is about done. We should return. All right, I was about to become totally dull from staying in this place. He Qing rejoiced upon hearing that Xiao Yan was finished. He hurriedly nodded as a light soared from his body, and he transformed into an enormous black dragon in the blink of an eye. Xiao Yan rushed onto the dragon's head. After which, a dragon roar resounded and the light figure turned into a flash, which rushed away. Within the blink of an eye, it had disappeared at the edge of the empty realm. Soon after Xiao Yan and He Qing left, another fluctuation appeared in space. An elderly figure appeared. It was the old man with the surname Mang from earlier. At this moment, he was frowning as he looked in the direction where Xiao Yan had left. It was as though he was thinking of something. Xiao Yan, this name appears a little familiar. An uncertain mutter slowly reverberated across the empty space. Xiao Yan discovered that the atmosphere of the ancient Dragon Island had changed when he returned. There were also significantly more hidden auras on the island. This kind of discovery caused Xiao Yan's heart to feel a little awed. These powerful auras were likely those elders from the ancient Void Dragon tribe who had been training within the empty realm. The Dragon Emperor had appeared once again. These elders, who were unwilling to fight each other because of a split in the tribe, had once again returned to the Eastern Dragon Island. Xiao Yan quietly muttered within his heart. Of course, he also understood that this path would definitely not be an easy one. Xiao Yan had listened to He Qing when he mentioned some of the information related to the other three Great Dragon Islands. The Eastern Dragon Island was ranked as the weakest of the four with its strength back then. From this, one could imagine just how terrifyingly strong the so-called three Great Dragon Kings were. Although these three big fellows possessed a royal bloodline, theirs were not as pure or rich as Xi Yang's bloodline. However, given their wild ambition, they would definitely not allow Xi Yang to complete the unification. Should that happen, their positions would greatly decline, and there would once again be a person above their heads to order them around. This was something that the three Dragon Kings would find difficult to accept after they had gotten used to issuing their own orders. Cuckoo, little friend Xiao Yan, you are finally back. The empty realm lightning pool is too dangerous. I was afraid that some accident might have happened to you there. Elder Zhu Li appeared in front of Xiao Yan and He Qing soon after the both of them entered Eastern Dragon Island. He smiled at Xiao Yan as he spoke. Thank you for your concern, Elder Zhu Li. Xiao Yan smiled. He cupped his hands to Elder Zhu Li and glanced behind his back. There were two white-robed elders there. These two elders were people Xiao Yan had never seen before. However, Xiao Yan understood from their vague auras that their strengths were likely 8-star dozens or higher. Cuckoo, these two are elders within my ancient dragon tribe. However, they had been training within the empty realm in the past and just returned. Elder Zhu Li smiled and introduced them when he saw the surprise in Xiao Yan's eyes. Greetings to both elders. Xiao Yan smiled. He cupped his hands to the both of them in a courteous manner. The two elders smiled and returned the greeting, matching Xiao Yan's politeness. Elder Zhu Li had informed them of the relationship between the Xiao Yan in front of them and the Great Dragon Emperor. Naturally, they would not slight him. Young Master Xiao Yan. A joyous cry was transmitted from below while Xiao Yang was chatting with Elder Zhu Li's group. Immediately, a green figure flashed over and stood prettily in front of him. Qing Lin. Xiao Yang was startled when he saw this lovely girl appear in front of him. He joyously asked, "You have come out of your retreat?" "I? It's all thanks to the dragon aura within the ancient dragon tomb. In addition to that, a couple of ancient dragon elders lent me a hand." Only then was the soul of the nine-headed heavenly serpent refined. Qing Lin sweetly smiled. The nine-headed heavenly serpent within Qing Lin's body had yet to be completely refined. However, it won't be able to do much after this and will sooner or later be assimilated by Qing Lin. Elder Zhu Li laughed. Xiao Yang's eyes swept over Qing Lin's body. His brows were immediately lifted because he had discovered that the current Qing Lin was slightly stronger than him. 6-star Dozun? Qing Lin nodded. She involuntarily laughed with a lovely voice when she saw Xiao Yang's somewhat helpless face. There is no need to be depressed. The triple jade green snake flower pupils is the top mysterious pupils in the world. She is probably the only one in the entire continent who possesses it. Moreover, it is likely that only one nine-headed heavenly serpent soul remains in the world. If either of these two things had been missing, it would have been impossible for Qing Lin's strength to soar. Moreover, she will only get such an opportunity once. Elder Zhu Li fondled his beard as he spoke. Xiao Yang bitterly laughed and nodded. He naturally understood that such an increase in strength would require many extremely harsh conditions. However, seeing this girl's strength leap by nearly 5 stars would make anyone's heart feel a little unbalanced. With Qing Lin's current 6-star strength along with the strength of the triple jade green snake flower pupils, it is likely that she could even fight with a 7-star Dozun. Moreover, the snake sealing ability of the triple jade green snake flower pupils has definitely been strengthened. The current her might even possess the strength to seal a 7-star Dozun expert of the snake tribe. Xiao Yang sighed. His heart had gained a much deeper understanding of the triple jade green snake flower pupils. Such a pair of eyes was indeed worthy of being the top on the continent. Elder Zhu Li, has Zi Yang still not left her retreat? Xiao Yang mused for a moment before changing the topic to ask a question. Not yet. The Great Dragon Emperor will require a long period of time this time around. Even the old me is uncertain when she will leave her retreat. Zhu Li frowned and replied. Xiao Yang quietly nodded. He said, in that case, I won't be able to remain here for much longer. I have been away for too long. Teacher might be worried if I continue to remain outside. Zhu Li did not stop Xiao Yang after seeing that he intended to leave. The atmosphere of the Eastern Dragon Island was currently quite solemn. It was wary of being attacked by the other 3 Great Dragon Islands. It was not very safe for Xiao Yang to remain here. Zhu Li thought for a while before nodding and saying, it's just as well. Little friend Xiao Yang. You should hold onto this spatial jade token. You can shatter it if you have wished to come to my Eastern Dragon Island. The spatial strength within it will form a spatial tunnel and transport you here. Zhu Li took out an exquisite silver jade token, handed it to Xiao Yang, and smiled as he explained what it could do. Xiao Yang did not reject this gift. This kind of spatial jade token was something that only an expert at the Banshan class could make. Moreover, it was quite troublesome to craft it. In that case, Xiao Yang shall not remain any longer. If there is a problem in the future, I will do my best to help as long as it is within my ability. Xiao Yang cupped his hands to Elder Zhu Li and spoke with a grin. Definitely. Help the old me ask about Yao Chen when you return to the Falling Star Pavilion. Elder Zhu Li smiled and nodded at Hei Qing. Hei Qing by the side waved his hand when he saw the nod. A crevice was torn in space as he said with a smile, little brother Xiao Yang, please. Xiao Yang grinned. He once again cupped his hands to the few people. After which, he strode into the crevice. Qing Lin and Hei Qing followed behind him. The spatial crack slowly disappeared after the 3 of them entered it. There were some deep magical beast roars resounding over the lush green mountain range. A crack line suddenly appeared in space amid these spreading roars. Immediately, 3 human figures slowly walked out. Naturally, they were Xiao Yan's trio, who had just left the Eastern Dragon Island. Xiao Yan looked at the endless mountains and the land that extended into the distance as he stepped out of the spatial crack. After which, he raised his head to look at the azure sky. He involuntarily exhaled a gentle breath. Compared to the endless empty realm, the true continent allowed one to relax. Little brother Xiao Yan, you will reach the Falling Star Pavilion in less than half a day's time if you head north from here. Due to the situation within the tribe, I am in a hurry to return. Therefore, I will not be able to personally send the both of you back to the Falling Star Pavilion. Hei Qing looked all around. He identified his bearings before informing Xiao Yan. I have troubled old brother Hei Qing. Xiao Yan smiled, cupped his hands to Hei Qing, and thanked him. Once the large matters with the ancient dragon tribe stabilize, I will be able to randomly come out as I please. At that time, I will help you finish off the members of the Hall of Souls should I meet them. Hei Qing patted his chest and laughed. Xiao Yan grinned and nodded. Hei Qing was meticulous even with his rough ways. His character was not bad. He was someone who was extremely suitable to befriend. All right, I shall not be long-winded. Let's part ways here. Hei Qing waved his hand at Xiao Yan. He ceased saying any unnecessary words as he once again tore open space. His body moved, and he entered the crack. Let's go. Xiao Yan smiled after seeing Hei Qing leave. He turned and flew to the north. Qing Lin followed close behind. By following heading in the direction that Hei Qing had pointed, a familiar scene appeared in Xiao Yan's eyes within less than half a day. The grand-looking Falling Star Pavilion was also partially visible in the distance. Within the large meeting hall of the Falling Star Pavilion, Yao Lao, who was discussing something with Feng Zunzhe, suddenly moved his brows. He softly laughed, "They are finally back." Yao Lao's laughter had just sounded when a fluctuation appeared within the space of the large hall. Immediately, 2 figures slowly appeared from the fluctuating space. Xiao Yan? Feng Zunzhe was slightly startled when he saw the young man appearing. Shock suddenly surfaced on his face because he sensed Xiao Yan's aura was a little stronger than his at this moment. It seemed that you had gained quite a lot from your trip this time around. Yao Lao spoke with a smile and was not too surprised. Xiao Yan beamed. He found a chair by the side and sat down. After which, he explained their general situation during this period of time. Yao Lao and Feng Zunzhe nodded gently as they listened. It is unexpected you are able to communicate with the ancient Void Dragon tribe. Yao Lao smiled. He lifted his teacup and said, I also have some good news. Oh? What is it? Xiao Yan was startled when he heard this. His eyes landed on Yao Lao. It is related to the purifying demonic lotus flame. Yao Lao replied. A joy that could not be hidden immediately surged onto Xiao Yan's face when he heard Yao Lao's. This video will end here.